Recently, some scientists have finally come out for investigating whether or not COVID was leaked from a lab. In a recent NBC article, they spoke with one of a group of scientists who published a letter in the Journal of Science that calls for the investigation. Alina Chan is her name, and she told us why she wasn't willing to call for an investigation until now. Here's an excerpt from that article. Chan said there had been trepidation among some scientists about publicly discussing the lab leak hypothesis for fear that their words could be misconstrued or used to support racist rhetoric about how the coronavirus emerged. Trump-fueled accusations that the Wuhan Institute of Virology, a research lab in the city where the first COVID-19 cases were reported, was connected to the outbreak. And on numerous occasions, he called the pathogen the Wuhan virus or Kung flu. At the time, it was scarier to be associated with Trump and to become a tool for racists, so people didn't want to publicly call for an investigation into lab origins, she said. Scientists were afraid to speak the truth because they did not want to be associated with Donald Trump or be seen as being racist themselves. That's exactly the kind of environment the left are trying to create in this country. They want you to be afraid to speak the truth. The article said that Ms. Chan did not want her words to be used to support racist rhetoric about how the coronavirus emerged. But that doesn't make any sense. How could wondering out loud, or even believing that the virus came from the lab, be racist? This shows just how absurd the atmosphere around racism in America has become, and just how powerful the left's political messaging really is. The left are engaged in creating a society where you are not allowed to question their narrative on anything. Of course, climate change is a great example. They'll call you a science denier if you don't go along with their narrative. They'll even say that the science is settled, as if there isn't anything else that we could possibly learn about something as complex as our planet's climate. Now, think about how many scientists there are who don't believe that the science is settled on climate change, but are just too afraid to speak up. Check out this clip from Alan Savory, an ecologist from Africa.
People talk glibly about science. What is science? People coming out of a university with a master's degree or a PhD, you take them into the field, and they literally don't believe anything unless it's a peer-reviewed paper. It's the only thing they accept. And you say to them, but let's observe, let's think, let's discuss. They don't do it. It's just, is it in a peer-reviewed paper or not? That's their view of science. I think it's pathetic. Gone into universities as bright young people, they come out of them brain dead, not even knowing what science means. They think it means peer-reviewed papers, etc. No, that's academia. And if a paper is peer-reviewed, it means everybody thought the same, therefore they approved it. An unintended consequence is that when new knowledge emerges, new scientific insights, they can never, ever be peer-reviewed. So we're blocking all new advances in science that are big advances. If you look at the breakthroughs in science, almost always they don't come from the center of that profession. They come from the fringe. The finest candle makers in the world couldn't even think of electric lights. They don't come from within. They often come from outside the breaks. We're going to kill ourselves because of stupidity.
Alan is talking about how academia has changed what it means to be a scientist. And he's right. If a scientist doesn't get something peer-reviewed and accepted, it's essentially discredited. And that's controlled by academia. But the part he's missing is that academia is controlled by the left. And the left are controlled by their ideology. So if something isn't useful in the pursuit of achieving their ideology, then it has to be discredited. Now let's get back to what we learned from this article. Scientists felt like they could not be honest because they did not want to be associated with Donald Trump or racism. Never mind the fact that they were thinking the same way Trump was, and that they knew in their own hearts that it wasn't because of racism. Still, they couldn't be honest about getting to the bottom of the origins of COVID. But what that also means is that people feel like they're not allowed to be honest about Donald Trump. And that's what this is about. If the scientific community had backed Trump up on this issue, it would have helped him politically. Instead, no matter what Trump did, they had to say it was wrong. Do you remember when Trump banned travel from China? Joe Biden said it was no time for xenophobia. And Nancy Pelosi went to Chinatown to tell everyone that everything is okay over here. The political left created an environment where anything Trump said or did had to be viewed as being wrong or evil. But it's not just about Trump. It's about anyone or anything standing in their way. And that includes the truth. A scientist with the last name Chan was afraid to give her opinion about a virus that originated in China because of racism. Think about how absurd that is. This article provides undeniable proof that the truth is not important to the left, which means that it's not important to many of those who report the news. Because like academia, journalism has been overrun by the ideological left. So, what are they so afraid of? Well, they're afraid that you might find out that Trump did not call neo-Nazis very fine people. They're afraid that you might find out that conservatism has nothing to do with racism or catering to the rich. They're afraid that you might find out the simple truth. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and if you want to become a supporting member of Blue Collar Logic, click on the link in the description and give what you can.